Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Here we are, sitting beneath ancient sacred tree, hearing the message of the Bhagavatam in Wood Park. This is actually the smallest tree in this park.
Yeah.
There are a couple of other ones that are literally humongous. And they've seen a lot of things in their days. Today they're going to hear the Bhagavatam.
Yeah. This is Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 38. I'm actually going to finish this. There's only a couple more verses of this chapter.
Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Alright, text 38. What are the truths regarding the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What are their identities? Oh, these are all the questions still Vidura is asking.
Mm-hmm.
This whole chapter, the rest of it is just these questions. Which will take up the rest of the Bhagavatam by the look of it. What are their identities? What are the specific values in the knowledge in the Vedas? And what are the necessities for the spiritual master and his disciples? Purport. The living entities are constitutionally servitors of the Lord, who can accept all kinds of service from everyone. It is clearly declared in Bhagavad Gita 5.29 that the Lord is the supreme enjoyer of the benefits of all sacrifices and penances, the proprietor of all that is manifested, and the friend of all living entities. That is his real identity. Therefore, when the living entity accepts this supreme proprietorship of the Lord and acts in that attitude, he resumes his real identity. In order to elevate the living entity to this standard of knowledge, there is the necessity of spiritual association. The bona fide spiritual master desires that his disciples know the process of rendering transcendental service to the Lord. And the disciples also know that they have to learn about the eternal relationship between God and the living entity from a self-realized soul. To disseminate transcendental knowledge, one must retire from mundane activities on the strength of enlightenment in knowledge in terms of Vedic wisdom. That is the sum and substance of all the questions in this verse.
Any thoughts?
So to disseminate transcendental knowledge, one has to retire from mundane activities on the strength of enlightenment in knowledge. We can't give up material enjoyment if we don't have the higher taste.
Well, maybe could I challenge that? Because some people do falsely renounce.
That's the word, false.
No, but the point is that people also try to renounce, but they do it falsely.
Yes.
So you have to do it. The point is that it sounded like what you were saying is you can't renounce unless you have a higher taste. But some people do try to renounce whatever. They try to give up family life. They try to give up their job. They try to give up earning money. They give up on society, right? And live in the street or leave home and do this and do that.
Yeah.
But this says you have to do it on the strength of enlightenment and knowledge in terms of the Vedic scripture.
Yes.
Sorry, I was just
No, you're right, but it says in order to disseminate transcendental knowledge.
Yes. Oh, okay.
So all these bums and whatnot.
Okay, in order to disseminate transcendental knowledge.
If you want to make advancement in spiritual life, it's not that if you want to make an advancement, I've got to renounce everything. But you will naturally renounce it, that which is impeding your spiritual progress, if you have a very firm spiritual foundation. And if the spiritual foundation isn't strong, you find it doesn't move long term. It moves, but we run out of fuel.
Didn't quite get that, but okay.
You have to have Krishna conscious fuel in order to keep moving.
Yeah, in Krishna consciousness.
Well, in order to get transcendental knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, and if it's not deep, then it won't last very long. So we have to go deeper and deeper.
Got to keep topping up.
Top it up, mate. Okay, text 39. Spotless devotees. That means devotees without spots. Right? Spotless devotees of the Lord have mentioned the source of such knowledge. How could one have knowledge of devotional service and detachment without the help of such devotees? Let's read that again because I got a little distracted. Spotless devotees of the Lord have mentioned the source of such knowledge. How could one have knowledge of devotional service and detachment without the help of such devotees? It means without the help of the spotless devotees. Purport. There are many inexperienced persons who advocate self-realization without the help of the spiritual master. They decry the necessity of the spiritual master and try themselves to take his place by propagating the theory that a spiritual master is not necessary. Srimad Bhagavatam, however, does not approve of this viewpoint. Even the great transcendental scholar Vyasadeva had need of a spiritual master, and under the instruction of his spiritual master, Narada, he prepared this sublime literature, Srimad Bhagavatam. Even Lord Chaitanya, although he is Krishna himself, accepted a spiritual master. Even Lord Krishna accepted a spiritual master, Sandipan Muni, in order to be enlightened, and all the acharyas and saints of the world had spiritual masters. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna accepted Lord Krishna as his spiritual master, although there was no necessity of such a formal declaration. So, in all cases, there is no question about the necessity of accepting a spiritual master. The only stipulation is that the spiritual master should be a bona fide, i.e., spiritual master must be in the proper chain of disciplic succession called parampara system. Interesting, yes. So really stressing the importance of the spiritual master and the need of the spiritual master, and not paying attention to anyone who tries to say you don't need a spiritual master, you just need to listen to your own mind, or your own heart will guide you, which in one sense is also true, but the challenge is that we don't really know how to follow the heart, and how do we know what's the heart and what's the wicked mind, you know? How do we know what's the super soul and what's the mind?
Yeah, also to be fair, in life we all accept higher authority, even if it's just to learn how to use the microwave. Everything. You know, we get the manual, you know, we Google it. We always seek some sort of authority. And yet when it comes to the most important thing, which is who is God, which is quite a vast topic. And who am I? Why am I here? I'll figure out myself. Well, if you figure out yourself, we won't have so many problems. We've got problems because you can't figure out yourself. Sorry.
She's on one today, boy. That reminds me of a lecture by Gauranga Prabhu. Of course, he was speaking some of the parts in Hindi, but he said, yeah, just like, you know, students in India. He said, you know, if you speak to them about going to university, right? And they say, well, which university are you going to go to? Oh, well, I spoke to this person and this senior person and that expert and this teacher and that professor and this and that, you know, in order to make the decision of which university I'm going to go to. And you say, oh, well, so what about spiritual knowledge, you know? Where did you get your information about spiritual knowledge? And they say, oh, Nanima. Nanima said, oh, this is all I have to do, Nanima said.
Yeah.
And he said, well, why don't you ask Nanima which university you should go to? He said, no.
Yeah.
Not about the university. I won't ask anything about that. Yeah. He said, but yet, you know, the higher topics of spiritual life, you're ready to get your information from Nanima, which, if I'm not mistaken, Nanima means like your grandmother, right?
Yeah, grandma.
So grandma said, you know. So it's like that. That crow just
True. Suris are great scholars, but they may not always be anaga or spotless. The Anagasuri is one who is a pure devotee of the Lord. Those who are not pure devotees of the Lord or who want to be on equal level with him are not Anagasuri. Pure devotees have prepared many books of knowledge on the basis of authorized scriptures. Srila Rupa Goswami and his assistants, under the instructions of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, have all written various literatures for the guidance of prospective devotees, and anyone who is very serious about raising himself to the standard of a pure devotee of the Lord must take advantage of those literatures.
Interesting. Thoughts?
Yeah, there's so much to read, so much nectar.
Yeah. Yeah, those who are not pure devotees of the Lord and who want to be on equal level with him are not. Yeah, so we have to take shelter of those who are the pure souls. And for us, we can read the scriptures that they've written on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami and then the disciplic succession. And Prabhupada also encouraged his disciples to write books and to share the message in their own language, not meaning French, German, Italian, or Japanese, but meaning in your own kind of words, in your own way of expressing. So Prabhupada very much encouraged that. Writing books. 740, yeah?
Yeah.
Crow's got a peanut in it. So, my dear sage, I have put all these questions before you with a view to knowing the pastimes of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the friend of all, so kindly describe them for all those who have lost their vision. So Vidura is asking all these questions, not on his own behalf, but for the benefit of everyone, like us, because we're hearing it now. Purport. Vidura put forward many varieties of questions with a view to understanding the principles of transcendental loving service to the Lord. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 2:41, which is Neha Bikramanachosti Pratyavayo Navidyate. There's no loss or diminution on this path, and a little performance of devotional service can save one from the most dangerous type of fear. Devotional service to the Lord is one, and the mind of the devotee is not diverted to the many branches of uncertainties. Vidura's purpose was to be situated in that service to the Lord, wherein one merges undivertedly. He claimed the friendship of Maitreya Muni, not because he was Maitreya's son, but because Maitreya was actually the friend of all who have lost their spiritual vision due to material influence. He claimed the friendship of Maitreya Muni, not because he was Maitreya's son, but because Maitreya was actually his friend. I don't think he was actually Maitreya's son. Right?
No. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Text 41, a spotless one. Your answers to all these questions will grant immunity from all material miseries. Such charity is greater than all Vedic charity, sacrifices, penances, etc. Purport. The highest professional work of charity is to give people in general immunity from the anxieties of material existence. This can be done only by performing activities in devotional service to the Lord. Such knowledge is incomparable. Cultivation of the knowledge in the Vedas, performance of sacrifice, and distribution of munificent charities altogether cannot form even a part of the immunity from the pangs of material existence that is gained from devotional service. The charity of Maitreya not only will help Vidura, but due to its universal nature will deliver all others in all times. Thus Maitreya is immortal.
Wow, amazing.
So powerful, this first sentence. The highest perfectional work of charity is to give people in general immunity from the anxieties of material existence. Immunity from the anxieties, it doesn't matter how much money you got, how much property, your looks, your education and this, but we all have anxiety because that is the nature of this material world. It's full of anxiety. it's all relative to our situation or whatever, but always anxious, always worried, always stressed, always concerned. And this is what Prabhupada is giving us in the form of what he brought down from the spiritual world. You know, ISKCON is a home. It's Vaikuntha. It's free from anxieties. And the teachings have, if you follow them, then they're perfect. Maybe the people are not perfect. So people may judge. My point is, oh, this happened, that happened. Yeah, but the process is perfect. If you follow it, you can truly be free from anxiety. Definitely.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, the charity of Maitreya not only will help Vidura, but due to its universal nature will deliver all others in all times. So, you know, kind of pushes home the point that this isn't just for one group of people, one type of people. It's for all people in all times and all places. So the revelation of this knowledge of Bhagavatam is good for us all, and we should share it with others because it's good for everyone. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah. And it says, and it ends that purport, dasa Maitreya is immortal, and we can try and change that to dasa Prabhupada is immortal.
Yeah.
And what he did, and people appreciate that as years go on. Definitely.
Glorious. And text 42, and this is the last verse of this chapter. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, "Thus, the chief of the sages, who was always enthusiastic about describing topics regarding the personality of Godhead, began to narrate the descriptive explanation of the Puranas, being so infused by Vidura. He was very much enlivened by speaking on the transcendental activities of the Lord." Purport. Great learned sages like Maitreya Muni are always very enthusiastic about describing the transcendental activities of the Lord. Maitreya Muni, being thus invited by Vidura to speak, appeared to be smiling because he actually felt transcendental bliss.
Us and the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Further Inquiries by Vidura. What have you got? A bug?
A few of them.
Oh dear. That might be our cue.
Okay.
So we finished chapter 7. Now,
what's the next chapter called?
Next is Manifestation of Brahma from Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Because don't forget, Vidura's asked all these questions, so
yeah.
Now we've got to answer them.
So I thought we were going to get into kind of more pastime type stuff, but I think there's another couple of sections here on the manifestation of the material world. So specifically, Lord Brahma coming from Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So tune in next time for some more Bhagavatam Bites. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. And remember, if anyone is interested in a copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the whole set, then please let us know and we'll sort it out for you.
Yeah, we know a man that knows a man.
We know a man that knows a man. All right.
Hare
Hare Krishna.